Yep.
Good morning, America.
Morning.
If you thought Sophie Cunningham's spotlight would fade in the offseason, think again. From her podcast to commercials to national TV appearances, she's quickly cementing herself as one of the league's most recognizable and marketable stars. But now, shockingly, it looks like her time in Indy could be over. In her recent podcast, Sophie dropped a bombshell that cast big-time doubt about her future with the Fever. And now fans, already furious at the Fever for not maximizing and appreciating Caitlin Clark's value, are asking the obvious question. Are they willing to lose the one player who stood up for Caitlin? Let's break down what just happened with Sophie, what she's demanding in her next deal, and the 2 reasons the Fever could completely blow it with her. But first, like this video if you think Indiana should keep Sophie. Tell me in the comments if you don't. Sophie has been everywhere this offseason. Most recently, she popped up at the NASCAR event in Phoenix, rubbing shoulders with none other than Sydney Sweeney, who turned heads in that now famous see-through dress. And she's not just showing up at events, she's cashing in on the spotlight. Sophie was front and center in a new Adidas campaign promoting Damian Lillard's latest signature shoes, cementing her status as one of the most marketable faces in the league right now.
Sophie Cunningham?
I'm busy.
Wow! Thank you.
And of course, she made an appearance on Good Morning America, repping Arby's like a pro.
Normally, I don't use this. I kind of just go in.
Rip it out. Oh, you did the big bite.
I did. It's so good. So
went for
good.
it.
Sure, she didn't crack Forbes' list of America's most powerful women in sports, where Caitlin Clark landed at number 4, followed by names like Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, and Asia Wilson. But let's be honest, outside of Caitlin Clark, it's hard to find a more popular player with casual sports fans than Sophie. And this is why.
That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul.
You could make a case that Caitlin Clark's 3 3-pointers in 38 seconds against the Liberty was the basketball moment of the 2025 season. And yeah, the rubber objects being thrown on the court was definitely the weirdest. But the single most important moment? That belonged to Sophie Cunningham, when she absolutely leveled JC Sheldon. Up until that point, everyone was taking cheap shots at Caitlin Clark, and no one was stepping in to defend her. It was building for weeks. The frustration, the disrespect, the silence, and finally, someone stood up for the face of the league. That was the moment Sophie Cunningham went from fan favorite to folk hero. Her jerseys sold out. Her follower count exploded. Overnight, she went from role player to national conversation, and she stayed there thanks to her podcast, her pregame fits, her TikToks, and her perfectly timed viral soundbites. We'll get into those in a second. But here's the key. It wasn't just her own brand that blew up. She created massive value for the Fever. A recent report showed the Indiana Fever now have the most valuable social media presence in the entire WNBA, valued at $55 million. To put that in perspective, the Dallas Wings are second at $8.6 million. Angel Reese and the Sky finished 5th. It's not even close. And with Caitlin Clark sidelined for most of the season, meaning fewer highlight reels and viral plays, there's no question. A chunk of that value came from Sophie Cunningham.
Look, the Indiana Fever did not quit posting social media content involving Caitlin Clark. They still continuously posted stuff. But that does show you the power of a Sophie Cunningham as well. We've talked about her on Google Trends and sort of like where she ranks in the echelon. I believe she was like the 3rd most searched WNBA player in the league for a certain span of months. And that all has monetary value.
And here's the thing. Sophie's only scratching the surface of her popularity. She's a sports marketer's dream. A fierce, high-impact competitor who actually moves the needle on the court and someone who naturally commands attention off it.
But don't kid yourselves. Being good-looking helps. It helped Tom Brady. I mean, go down the list of good-looking male athletes that have been bankable and that have gone on to make a lot of money. Michael Jordan, being good-looking dudes and being great players. Sophie Cunningham, I think she's next up. She is the next superstar in the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham, international sports celebrity.
Between Caitlin and Sophie, the Fever have something no other team in the WNBA can claim. the two most marketable players in the league, both with massive crossover appeal. But there's a catch. Caitlin is locked in for 2 more seasons. Sophie isn't. Her contract has expired. She's officially a free agent. From a business standpoint, this should be the easiest decision the Fever ever make. Re-signing Sophie isn't just smart, it's profitable. But it also makes perfect sense on the court. Sophie consistently delivers when it matters most. This was a year where Indiana had to rely on players other than Caitlin to get them to the playoffs. And before her injury, Sophie was a major reason they got there.
Right here, September the 11th, is when Sophie Cunningham went on an absolute tirade. She went on a path of destruction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games where when this team was still trying to make the playoffs, she went bananas. That first game right there, 16 points, 10 rebounds, 13, 11, 12, 15, 15, 12, 17, 18 points, 16 points, 14 points.
She might not be the fastest player on the floor or the top scorer every night, but when you look at the total package, her skill set, leadership, toughness, and the energy she brings on and off the court, Sophie Cunningham is almost impossible to replace with a single player.
Sophie Cunningham had her best season of her career last year. Sophie Cunningham, you could argue, was the best player on the Fever in the Commissioner's Cup final when they won. There were big games when the Phoenix Mercury, when they went to Phoenix, and we looked shell-shocked. We looked shell-shocked against Phoenix. They destroyed us. The only reason it wasn't a 45-point game was Sophie Cunningham willing the Fever back into that game by herself. And I'm looking at this, and people are so like, oh, she's just a clout chaser. People are so like against Sophie Cunningham personally, some people, that you fail to realize she is literally irreplaceable.
And as for her injury, no need for concern. Sophie's already back to training, moving well, and expected to be good as new by the time the next WNBA season tips off. So health isn't the question here. The only question is whether the Fever are smart enough to keep her. And that's what makes this next clip pretty concerning if you're a Fever fan. During her podcast, when the topic of her next contract came up, Sophie dropped some serious uncertainty, casting real doubt on whether she plans to stay in Indiana.
I love it, and I think the next team I play for, I want a bigger contract, so then I can buy a house and be homey and cozy.
Fuck yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. That could be the Liberty. It could be New York City. It could also be the Lynx, and it could be Minneapolis. Like, you just don't know.
It could be anywhere.
I don't care what anyone says when she ends that with, "It could be anywhere." That doesn't sound like someone who is 100% set on returning to the team they're on. It's one thing to be a realist behind closed doors when talking to friends and family, but to say it on your podcast when you know you have an audience, that's a choice. It's a message. Clearly, she's not 100% returning to the Fever, which begs the question, why? I mean, what could she possibly be asking for in her next contract? We heard her say in her podcast that she wants to buy a house. And some of us logically would say, but you make way more than a WNBA salary in brand partnerships. So, buying a house shouldn't really be an issue. But buying a house also means getting a long-term commitment. The last thing you want to do is buy a home and then move, because you're hopping teams every year. So, she's probably looking for the right long-term fit as well as money, cash and term. And as far as money goes, she's probably just looking for a fair deal for her value to the team.
Now the question is, what is she talking about as far as the deal goes? Are we talking $400,000 a year over the next 4 years? That's house money. That's enough for a house. $600,000 per year over the next 4 years. What, a 4-year, $24 million contract? $2.4 million contract, excuse me. 4-year, $2.4 million contract. She gets $600,000 a year. That's enough for a house. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a max contract to get Sophie Cunningham to stay on the Indiana Fever. It just needs to be a quality contract. We respect what you've done for our franchise contract. We understand what you contribute to this team contract. We're not going to undervalue your contribution to contract. That's all it needs to be.
While no one knows exactly what the next CBA will look like in terms of salary cap or max contracts, one thing's clear. Sophie's not chasing a max deal, and honestly, no team is offering her that anyway. But here's what is true. She's a player who genuinely loves her team, shows up when it matters most, defends her teammates, and happens to be a marketing goldmine. That should make this decision a total no-brainer for the Fever. A slam dunk. So how could they possibly fumble it? It almost sounds impossible. But here's where I get concerned.
That we want to sustain the growth and the interest level in the franchise. I mean, this is about the Indiana Fever. Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple or something. I mean, we have a real opportunity here.
This was the Fever president before last season, talking about how she wants to build a brand that isn't centered around just one or two players. On the surface, that sounds fine. It's a smart, balanced philosophy. But when you apply that thinking to Sophie Cunningham, two potential concerns come to mind. Ones I don't personally agree with, but that could still influence how Fever management sees her. First, they might think Sophie brings too much off-court attention. Where Caitlin is measured and media polished, with Tom Brady-level control, Sophie's the complete opposite. She shoots from the hip, she says what she thinks, she doesn't care how it lands. Her fans love her for it. Opposing fans can't stand it, but the real question is, how do the Fever feel about it? Because she's not stopping. She said openly that she doesn't care about fines, that they're a joke, and she's backed that up. When Nafisa Collier blasted Commissioner Cathy for not prioritizing player well-being, Sophie didn't hold back either. She doubled down, taking her criticism of the league to an entirely new level.
I'm gonna be good today. I am, because I'm just tired of our league. They need to step up and be better. Our leadership from top to bottom needs to be held accountable. I think that there are a lot of people in the position of powers in the WNBA who they might be really great business people, but they don't know shit about basketball, and that's got to change. I said I was going to be good, and I just messed up. But I do. I think everyone's frustrated when NBA players from that side of things are reaching out to us, just like in awe of how terrible it is. Like, that's saying something. That is absolutely saying something when your counterpart is feeling bad for us because of how we're getting treated. I mean, come on. And that's from leadership. That's from, I'll just leave it there. From our leadership, it's just bad.
I mean, how often do you hear a player publicly tell the league's top executive that she knows nothing about the sport she runs? That's not just confidence. That's the definition of 0 F's given. And when Cathy Engelbert tried to defend herself after Nafisa Collier's viral rant, Sophie didn't back down. She went even harder, taking it to a personal level and stopped just short of calling Cathy a narcissist.
I think this is just such a pivotal point in the WNBA, because there are so many eyes on us. There's so many new fans. There's millions, I should say, new fans. And at the end of the day, she's worried about her. In all of her statements, it's all like, well, I got us here and I should. And Cathy, no one cares. Literally, no one cares. Like how you're sitting right there, that's how we feel every time she speaks. Every time she speaks, us as players, that's how we feel.
We can all agree. Sophie's saying what a lot of players won't. She's telling the truth. But the question is, do the Fever really want 3 more years of that level of honesty? Which brings me to the second point. Sophie isn't just a teammate to Caitlin Clark. She's her most vocal defender. She's gone out of her way to praise Caitlin's impact on the league and call out anyone who downplays it. She doesn't sugarcoat it, doesn't hedge. If you disrespect Caitlin, Sophie's coming for you.
Dude, and it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Like, we have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
But let's be real, this is the #1 tension point across the entire WNBA right now. Everyone wants to pretend it's the whole league driving growth, not just Caitlin Clark. That includes the Fever. The obvious truth, that Caitlin is the engine behind this surge, has somehow become taboo to say out loud. And with the Fever president emphasizing she wants to build a brand, it raises a real question. Do they actually want someone like Sophie who will call them out if they're not using Caitlyn the right way? Or do they want someone who quietly follows the league's and perhaps the Fever's unspoken rule to downplay Caitlyn's impact? These are just my opinions, but honestly, I don't see any other reason not to bring Sophie back. And judging by her tone on the podcast, it doesn't sound like she's getting a strong signal from management that they're eager to keep her. It's a strange situation. So what do you think? Is Sophie Cunningham coming back to the Fever? Or is management uncomfortable with how powerful her platforms become? Let me know in the comments what you think, and as always, thanks for watching.